Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the next episode of Pachpowi Talks. I'm your host, Agata, and actually today we're continuing the conversation from the previous episode where Kasia, my friend, is my guest, and she shares her absolutely incredible story of finding her inner voice and following the intuition. The first part, definitely go check it out if you didn't hear it. Truly such an inspiring story of transition, of finding yourself and deciding to follow your inner voice. It's a story of academia, of professional sport, and of course art and creativity, and how it all kinda led Kasia to the place where she is right now. So if you haven't heard, go and check out the first episode. If you already did, please enjoy this part. We are restarting our conversation at the point where Kasia got into Cambridge, and let's see what unfollows. Enjoy the episode. Before we go to Cambridge, was there anything else on your creative path that you did while still at USC in LA?
The last semester at USC, I took easy classes that were just there for me to enjoy my last few months. And that's kind of like how athletes would usually approach the last semester. You would do the work before and then just give yourself space in the last semester to have an easy semester and enjoy life, that make it easier for yourself and be able to say goodbye and everything. So I took classes like art classes, and then I took two kind of like meditation classes. One was mindfulness and the other one was stress management.
Is that the first time that meditation, let's say in this official setting, enters your life?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So it was very exciting, but I felt like a lot of still resistance of, trying to be rational and, approaching it in a proper way. And I feel like everyone is on a different path. Now, that's what I think. And there is no right or wrong way. There is just your way. So you have to try and see what works for you. But back then I would really just try to do it properly, and it didn't work. But it's still something, it was exciting and something I was oh, that's interesting. Let's see. So, but yeah, the last semester, then the pandemic started in March. But before that, I took a photography class this semester, and we got this cool assignment where there was a lot of creative freedom in choosing the topic. I am approaching the end of my stay here, and I want to say goodbye to the water in part because I was there every day for 4 years, and it was such a beautiful aspect of rowing, just being able to connect with water and observe it and see how it's changing, how it's always and constantly changing. And water in Los Angeles in the port, it was insane and so beautiful because it's a port, so there is different container ships, and they reflect onto the water very colorful patterns. So different containers, ships, different machinery and everything is very colorful. And also the light in Los Angeles, it's so different from how it is in Poland. It's just very bright and colorful and sharp. So I just really wanted to capture it for myself for future, to be able to come back and be oh my God, it's so beautiful, I miss it. So I wanted to capture it for myself. So I took pictures of the water, and it was I knew my eyes opened being able to capture it. It was such a beautiful experience because I got to look at it and observe it for so many years before, but I never got to interact with it through photography actually. And that was whoa, mind-blowing, because I felt I was so present in the moment, capturing it and looking at the water through lens of camera, and just it really felt like meditative practice, mindful practice. I felt so immersed and so calm and so just wow, it's like time stopped and I was just taking photos. And the pictures like I took, it was literally 15 minutes because it was between practices on Sunday or Saturday. And my coach agreed to take me on the motorboat. And we literally had, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to just drive between the container and the ships and just like take pictures. So I was just taking pictures, capturing, trying to capture as much as possible. And like that was my only shot, my only option. So, I didn't really have control over the light or the shot to do it again. It was just there and then. So the pictures I took, then it was about choosing which ones to present, but it was such a cool process and I loved it. And the pictures turned out amazing and I was really proud of them. And I printed them out in a huge format, like 100, like to 70 centimeters. So they were big format photographs. And I got very good feedback from my professor and from fellow students that it's like, wow, it's so unique. And so I took the feedback in because positive feedback is always nice. And then coming back, I took the pictures with me. So I packed them into a suitcase and I was like, oh, this is my souvenir for myself, for my future self. And I took them with me. But then my dad, he arranged an exhibition for me, like through his friend, like he's an artist, like my mom is an artist as well. And he was like, wow, they are so cool. Like, let's make an exhibition. And it's something I didn't even thought about. Like it was possible because I just I was just doing it for myself. But I feel like I was putting so much pressure into like what it means to be an artist. Like, you have to like be professional and like, that's your only way of earning. Like, it's like, your job and you have to have education to do it and you have to like you know what to say and everything. But so I was kind of scared and I was like, whoa, okay. But yeah, in the summer between US and Cambridge, I had a solo exhibition in Krakow, which was so beautiful and kind of like the preview of, wow, that's possible. Like, it's possible like for me to even like consider myself an artist in a way. I feel like I still like sometimes struggle with like calling myself an artist because of like some previous, um, but um, but yeah, just like that, what I see and like it's worth showing to other people. So it was like a very cool experience, but I feel like at that point in my life, I still wasn't ready kind of to share my work or anything. It was just something mine. So I feel like now I'm kind of like coming back to that place where I feel, okay, I know what I want to say. I know that my work is good and I'm ready to share it with the world. So it's very exciting time. I don't know where we were going with it, but
Wow.
That's the story with art.
Yeah, I know that it just meant to be kind of in between the USC and Cambridge story, but I'm so mesmerized. Do you mind if we dive deeper?
Yeah, that's good.
Because first of all, what really struck me is the process of taking the photos itself. Because as you mentioned, it was kind of very quick and you were there to witness kind of what water was doing. Can you tell me more about why, like, what's your relationship with water and what do you see in it? And how do you think your rowing experience influenced that?
I love water. I think that's kind of like I feel the happiest when I'm close to water and when I'm on the water. It's also like such a different feeling and such a unique feeling of being in the boat because I feel usually when you interact with water in everyday life, it's more like you're in there on the shore and you see it from far away, or you're in the water but just being on top of the water in the boat, or I guess in kayak you can experience that as well. But it's like just like such a unique feeling because water, it's like such an interesting thing, material. I don't know. It's smooth and it's like changing, but also like when you're on top of it, you can actually experience that it's like also something solid in a way. It's like a very interesting feeling. And with water, I just always loved that something what kind of like why I decided to row in the first place, because it just felt like so insane and unique to be able to be in the water and experience that different perspective of interacting with something so calm and so beautiful and something so unpredictable at the same time. Yeah, I love water. And in like practicing and rowing, it was just something always I would come back to, like even like between some sets, or I liked looking at water and observing how it's like changing, constantly changing, and how there's different factors that influence it, but like it's just never the same, even though it looks like at the first glance it looks the same, but it's never the same. So then with trying to capture it with photography, that really showed me how it's, actually changing all the time. And it's just very unique. So I would like take like if that like the experience of taking photos of photography, the first experience, because since then that became my favorite thing, to try to capture different waters in different parts of the world, and just like kind of immerse in myself in the moment and try to interact with water through this way, through the lens of camera. So again, another kind of like perspective and another way of interacting with the same thing. So taking the pictures, like literally like looking them at the computer, like every single one of them was different. And it was so insane. It's like different worlds kind of like captured in a photography. And then I had like many thoughts and reflections around that. And like over the years, I feel like I put that into words, and like what my main reflection about that is like, because it's constantly changing, water is constantly changing, but by capturing it on a photograph, it's kind of like, stopping time, taking pictures. It's like being in the moment, being truly present there, but also like almost like traveling through different worlds. Interesting, because it's like it's fleeting and you try to capture it, but are you actually present in the moment, or do you like does it open some portal to some different lands?
That is so powerful. And wow, it really begs the question, especially what you said, how you also struggled through labeling yourself as an artist, seeing yourself as an artist. And I feel like actually it might be contradictory, but to think that you're the capturer, the witness of the world, I feel like it can help alleviate this pressure of what artist is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about you and your beautiful, beautiful relationship with water that lasted for so many years till the moment you decided to do the project in the port in LA. But actually, that the witness is also the artist, aka the witness, the capturer. It's interesting because you're not creating the water, you're there to witness it in the moment and stop it in time. But also you're playing an essential part because you have this relationship and you offer this, your lens, literally your consciousness to others to see in the form of photograph, right? Because obviously you didn't create how the water and reflections look like, but you offered what literally you experience in the moment. I find it so freaking beautiful. I'm like, wow, this is just mind-blowing, and it's, thank you
for
doing that. And it's so beautiful what you mentioned a few times, that you just want to take pictures for yourself, right? That's why you took them in the freaking carry-on or whatever to Poland, all across the world, not because of XYZ, you just wanted them for yourself. So it really speaks magnitude about you and your relationship with the object, which you now have materialized in this bridge to be able to show to others as well, right?
I think what what it also like a beautiful like thought I had, that it's also like how art is almost a language of, you know, sharing with the world what you experience, something that is hard to put into words. Like for me, that's kind of like what art is to me, is a way of, you know, capturing what I'm feeling and like put it into some kind of like materialized form that I can share with the people and hope that they will like, you know, just like have an insight of like into like my world, but also like that it's gonna like give them something like for themselves, and it's just like a way of connecting with people basically, that is not through words. That was very Polish accent, but it's something, you know, a different way of connecting and putting your thoughts into something that is material.
That's beautiful. It's like literally consciousness speaking to each other through art. Even the people that maybe could not even express at all what they're feeling when you're looking at the piece,
You still get the feeling.
but they feel. You don't like. I mean, maybe we still don't. Maybe it's the same feeling that you get when you look at the mountains or at the sky at night, right? They're like, you don't understand. You just feel. You're like, no, but that's beautiful. So tell me, how did it feel to know that, wow, other people are going to experience such an intimate experience you created for the photographies you taken?
Yeah.
How was that?
I feel like that's something that is very scary at the beginning, because you feel like you're really exposing the most like inner thoughts. That's like kind of what it was to me, that I was like, whoa, what if people don't understand it, or if they judge? But then it's like actually very exciting when it actually happens, because you can share and like you see that it connects you with people that like maybe you wouldn't connect with otherwise. It just like gives another dimension of or level of like two relationships, and it's very beautiful, and like it's worth, you know, risking it and taking the step. And that's something like I love about your creative practice. I'm like literally such a huge fan, and it's very inspiring, because like, you know, it takes the pressure off. It's more about like, you know, the process and sharing it, and you know, not about like putting labels and trying to be perfect or doing it in the right way. It's just about creating things and sharing it with the world. And that's actually how we were connected, because you organized an exhibition in your parents' garden, and I was like mind blown. Wow, this is so cool. Like how you literally in a week you decided, I want to have an exhibition. You printed out the pictures, you put them together, and you invited your friends and they posted on Instagram. And I was like, I saw it on Instagram and I was like, wow, it was so exciting. And I feel like we reconnected through art. And I'm so grateful for that, because, you know, thanks to your bravery of sharing your art with the world and just like expressing yourself and just doing things and not thinking about the consequences, not overthinking it, just doing it and not putting so much pressure on it either. Just like, yeah, okay, and on to the next thing. And it's very inspiring. That's something I really want to try to take in and apply in my life as well.
Thank you so much. It's so nice of you to share. I'm really touched. And actually, it makes me think what you just shared about our story, how we were connected through art, is also about what you shared just a few minutes ago about how it's a language, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that you don't know what certain things will lead to in the end, right? But if you decide to, like, when you don't speak, you don't give the ability to listen to others, right? They cannot hear you if you're not speaking. So it's kind of beautiful. But yeah, wow. Okay. So your first exhibition was also here in Krakow, right?
In Krakow, exactly.
Wow. So you have the summer in between, and then Cambridge
happens.
Okay.
And that's kind of like my top of the mountain that I was like walking towards like my whole life.
Literally whole life, right?
Yeah, my whole life. Exactly. My biggest ambition materializing. And then being there, I don't know if I just built so much expectations in my head, but also like it was COVID year and everything. It just like was not what I had in mind. You know, it was a very difficult year, but also very beautiful at the same time because again, I met so many beautiful people and I got to like, you know, achieve my dream of studying there and also like of rowing in the boat race, like in the second boat, but still. And then of my last rowing competition, like that I felt like was a cherry on top for my whole career and saying goodbye to all those years of rowing. It was this beautiful like Henley Royal Regatta, and it was again kind of like achieving my young girl's dream. So it was like very beautiful but very difficult. I feel like it was the first time in my life where I actually had to face my emotions in a more mature way because they just build up and there was no way I could ignore them anymore. The starting point for getting on a new path.
But before we go there, tell me how do you mean it wasn't what you expected? How was it for you both emotionally and mentally and I don't know, spiritually to be there? And what was the process, if you don't mind sharing, of realizing, because, you know, from the outside looking in, you're like achieving everything you ever wanted, like picture perfect dream coming true, right?
Exactly.
So how did it feel for you? And what were some parts that felt off, that this is not how you imagine, what you imagine, etc.?
There's many different aspects to it, but basically like going from, you know, having so many friends to having to meet people again and just like school, everything was online, just like the reality.
Because of the COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
It was very hard to connect with people and I felt like very lonely at the beginning. Like the relationships, they were very much harder to build. They're very beautiful still when I was able to build them, but it took like very long time. And, you know, just I felt very lonely and also kind of disappointed with the course itself. It was all online. The classes were twice a week. And I just, you know, it was compared to the US where it was, I felt like I was so excited to learn. I just didn't feel like I was learning enough. And I was just like, you know, what I had in my mind, this beautiful picture of what it would mean to study at Cambridge, it was just not the reality at all. It was also very difficult for me to even like think that, you know, that's something I dreamed of and like I've put so much effort and everything into getting there. But then I felt like almost guilty to complain about it because from looking out on it, it's like a dream come true and like it's so cool and unique. So you feel like almost guilty and entitled to complain about it. I was struggling with a lot of that emotions connected to that. I shouldn't complain. I'm here, it's so cool and everything, but still feeling a lot of like negative things around that. And also like from January to April, there come a lockdown that was like literally 4 months. And you know, we didn't get to practice together. So it was just it felt very dark and long and just like lonely and gray overall. And that's kind of, I felt very helpless as well. Like I didn't know what to do and like what to change, like how to change it because it was like external circumstances with COVID. Like I feel everyone like went through a similar thing, just like different contexts. But you didn't really like have control over that aspect. So
it's interesting that, of course, COVID is like global thing, but that the concept of control comes back again, right? Before you had almost no control or agency over how your day, week, or month looks like, and now you're put into those freaking circumstances where there wasn't much that you could change externally.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And tell me, because you mentioned that it was the first time in your life that you had to face actual emotions. And, you know, I'm such a sucker and I'm so interested in the subject because I feel like for me, it really kind of changed my life, you know, realizing, well, I can actually feel stuff instead of running away from them. But I'm also super curious. How was it for you? How did you even like realize, whoa, there are feelings to be felt here? And how did you navigate it, all that?
Huge topic. I actually don't know how to answer it. I felt like I just was feeling a lot. It was just there the whole time. Before, like with feeling burned out and everything, there was still some negativity around it, but I was able to kind of like, again, just close my heart to it, try to escape through art and not putting too much worry into that or too much effort, and just like putting that into different aspects of my life. But then it wasn't like a permanent solution because I wasn't actually facing the problem or the emotions. I was just finding ways to manage them and to escape, but I wasn't truly allowing myself to feel those things. And in there, I just like had no other option. There was nothing happening, and the lockdown and everything, like it was just me in my little tiny room. And, I was just feeling a lot of things and I didn't know how to manage those emotions yet. So yeah, that's something I learned later on, how to actually like try to navigate that feeling aspect. But
first of all, I don't know, I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably about such period in life. And also, I find it so beautiful what you just shared, that art was also an escape and it can also be a therapy. And I think it's a very valuable perspective to add that basically anything you choose to do has this bipolarity built in, right? Yeah. Same as with rowing. It started out of love, then it was very hard relationship. And I don't know, thank you so for sharing that, because I feel like it really puts the perspective that it's not the external thing that you're doing, it's your relationship to it that defines
exactly your approach and your mindset. Yeah. And also like I don't want it to come off like I feel like I always am a bit insecure about that. If you talk about like the negative side, it sounds like you're complaining and you're ungrateful, because I am very grateful and I feel like, for everything that I got to experience, and you can feel both.
Exactly. It's actually so important to me personally to bring those, let's say, shadow and dark parts to light, because then we live in this society that this is way better than this, but it's not true, right? It's always both. It's just how you feel about those things when it's happening. So yeah, totally. And, not to go too deep into it, into just sharing the authentic experience, right? That you can be the happiest when you're going, I don't know, buying groceries, and the most miserable when you're achieving the award of being the best in the world in something, right? That, yeah, so thank you. Yes, I think it's super important to share this part, and actually the journey, that it's not that at certain level of achievement or earning money, of having this job or whatever it is, that it's all smooth. It's just always like this.
I feel like it connects nicely with, the concept of external validation versus internal validation. Because, like the external validation of like achieving different things and like going from goal to goal and just doing something that is prestigious or, that is a big goal that you set up for yourself. It doesn't mean that doing that you're gonna be happier if you're not grounded and if you're not confident in who you are and like how valuable you are as a person. The external validation is not gonna do it for you. It can be like very quick fix and like band-aid, but still you at the end of the day you're left with facing yourself, fixing the relationship with and like coming back to internal validation and working on your confidence and on your self-concept and everything. I feel like it all comes down to doing that, just appreciating the external validation, but like not putting like all your self like confidence into how people perceive you, because you have no control over that.
Wow, that's beautifully. So let's go back to when you were in Cambridge, almost finishing it. Because at the beginning, we talked a little bit about that you recognize you have those 3 pillars inside of yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're a professional athlete at the moment. Back in the day, you have this academia pillar that is really big. And you have this creative side that is starting to gain some traction as well and becoming bigger and bigger. How was it at Cambridge when you were there? How those 3 pillars were coexisting or starting to merge, or how did you experience them?
So at Cambridge, I feel like the rowing persona I was saying goodbye to it. It really felt like the last stretch, and I felt like I was putting the last energy and power and the last love I still had for the sport into that year. And it would like cost me a lot of effort, and it really felt like I was ready to say goodbye to that and excited to do that. So I feel like that aspect was dying. The academia part was thriving. I was so excited to do what I loved, and explore the topic that felt exciting to me, and I felt very good with that. The art part I didn't really like. It was just there. Like I didn't really do much. Would go on walks, take some pictures, but still like it was like there, kind of. But then the hard part comes when I graduated, and I felt like, whoa, okay, what's next? I had like no idea what I wanted to do next, and I feel like the next default thing I wanted to do was to apply for a PhD, because that's always like a vision I had, that I'm gonna be in academia, because that I feel confident within that. It gives me a lot of like excitement, and I love learning new things, and that's what I wanted to do. But I also like felt like I needed to go home and just being with my family, be close, and kind of like be in the safe environment, because it felt I needed to recharge and ground myself, and like kind of like be with my mom. So I decided to go back to Poland, and I applied for a PhD. Then I didn't get into the PhD in Krakow, which felt like, whoa, my world crushed. Because that's something I felt like was a very strong side of me, like the academia, and I felt like very confident with it. And then I didn't get in Krakow to university that is like 500 in the world. I don't know. And I felt like it was just like, whoa, okay, going from Cambridge it just felt like such a, for my ego, it was very hard to swallow. And also it left me in a space where I was like, actually like, whoa, okay, I literally don't know what to do next. Because, I'm not in academia. I'm not a rower anymore. I'm not an artist yet. So who am I? And that's where the whole journey began.
Wow. What a beautiful question as well. Who am I? But wow, that sounds like such a transitional space to be at, such a liminal space in between, right? The old identities that kind of are dying or have already died in a way. And there's some identities that you might already have in mind, but they are not born yet, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, how the heck do you navigate all of that on top of just like coming from such a, let's quote unquote, of course, high of so many experiences, right? Studying abroad and like still competing and like being in such a different environment, to kind of coming to your hometown with a question mark. What's next? How did you navigate that mentally?
Oh, that was very difficult. I feel like I'm still navigating that a little bit, but it's a beautiful journey, and I'm very grateful for this hard time like looking back, because for the next 2 years after coming back to home, I felt a little bit like I was hiding from the world and just trying to find myself and giving myself time to do that. So I traveled a lot, and I like feel like I changed so much, like mindset wise. So it wasn't like I wasn't achieving anything. It's a contrast of, just going from goal to goal, always competing and trying to achieve something, to, just being and existing and achieving. I don't know, waking up in the morning and getting out of bed, because it's so difficult to get out of bed. So, it really felt like changing so much internally. And I'm so grateful that for that time, even though it felt like it just lasted forever in the moment, that it would never end, that I would it was like difficult. But
I'm just curious, at the moment, how did you find yourself and just gave yourself permission to do quote unquote nothing and not try to find another goal because you already knew this is what works, right? This is what you can do. How did you manage to just be like, okay, this is how I feel right now and I'm just surrendering to it?
I don't know. I didn't think long term. I just, because it was overwhelming and I felt like I was kind of like blind almost, and just doing things, like trying things intuitively to not drown completely. I don't know, like thinking long term, it was just not even on my mind. And I don't know how I actually managed that. I feel like that's difficult to put into one sentence or describe. I feel like it was just mostly just, you know, just navigating that and trying to see what works. I discovered like a lot of things that I would always try to come back to, seeing what makes me happy in the moment and trying to follow that to get out of, the state and the circumstances. So I discovered that it makes me happy to travel. It makes me happy to actually have the freedom, you know?
Yeah, because wow, now I'm thinking about this. It's first time in a very long time that you even experience this freedom, right? Without the schedule from whatever AM till whatever PM times, and you just have all day to schedule yourself.
It felt overwhelming to have all the, you could choose so much, but then I literally like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know what I wanted. So it was coming back to the basics, like what do I like to do in life? What makes me happy? Not trying to answer the big questions of, oh, what's my career is supposed to be? What's my goal in life? Like too much. I like drinking tea. Cool. Okay. I like taking pictures. Cool. I like drawing. Cool. Okay. This small, and trying to build my who am I from those little things instead of who I was, like putting myself into boxes of I'm an academic, I'm a rower, I'm an artist, but kind of like seeing like who is Kasia? Who are you? So I would like journal a lot, and I feel like that's when I discovered journaling in that time, and I love journaling. I feel like that's way of for me to connect with my thoughts, because I feel sometimes like it's just like I feel very chaotic in thoughts and like in expressing myself, but like when I start writing, I feel just really connecting with and grounding myself and being able to follow one train of thought. I discovered a lot about myself through journaling and through, and it's a process, and I feel like it's gonna last a lifetime, and it's ever changing, and it's good. It's
wow. But it's so beautiful because it sounds like similar to what we go through when we are kids, right? Of course, when someone asks you who you want to be, maybe you have an idea, but you really tap into this playful feeling of just seeing what feels good, right? No matter if it's binging cartoons for 8 hours or just running in the park with your friends, like you don't use basically at all some analytical part of your brain. And it sounds like, if I got it right, this was similar to your experience, step by step, day by day, seeing just like, okay, tiny little bit drop of joy, in this drinking your tea.
Exactly. Being grateful and happy for those little moments and appreciating them. And also, I think it's very beautiful what you said about being a kid. And I think that I've heard you saying that. I don't know if it's in a podcast or something, but I really felt it resonated with me, because that's true. Like when you're a kid, you just you don't think long term. And I feel like we are conditioned to think long term and set I don't know, 5-year plan for ourselves, and I plan and try to, but there's so much beauty into just coming back to the present moment and just trying to listen to your heart, to your intuition, and seeing, okay, what is the next thing to do? not thinking like about like where it's leading me. You can have some kind of vision, but like not trying to control it, but just seeing like where it takes you, like kind of like going with the river, like just, you know.
Oh, this is so beautiful. I'm literally getting goosebumps, and also I'm so curious because I feel like I'm literally in this process right now, and what's very much alive for me and for some people that I know they are on similar journeys. How do you navigate fear in those moments? Because sometimes my brain is like, okay, just one next step, but then it's like the rational, the critic that comes, yeah, but how are you going to make a living, or like you should make a decision, or there are so many mental chatter. And I'm curious if you remember if fear was still appearing in this period, and if so, how did you navigate that you really just grounded to one next step, one next action, without going, what am I going to do in 3 years?
Yeah, I think fear is something that is always gonna be there, because it's like a natural reaction we have to unexpected situations. And if you decide to not think long term and not set a plan for yourself and try to control the future, then it's very scary. And it's like, okay, what if you run out of money, and if you make a wrong decision, what if you there's no going back? And it really feels like the decisions I feel like in adulthood in general, our decisions have even more weight, almost, that it really they feel so big. Like it really feels so big to choose which career you're gonna go into. And it feels like if you make this decision, you cannot change it again. And it's it really feels like, okay, what if I decide to live here, but then if I want to have kids, or the decisions have so much weight. I feel like I just found some tools that work for me.
What were they?
Like for me, it's definitely journaling.
Journal.
And then making art, and then something that I'm really excited recently about, it's yoga and meditation. I feel like I'm discovering that again in my life, and it's so exciting. And also just feeling like I'm going back to moving my body. It's so exciting because after I stopped rowing, I felt so much resistance to doing even the little things like going on a run. I literally felt I'm gonna throw up. I cannot do that. I cannot do sports. And I didn't find the joy in moving my body for the longest time. It's 4 years since I graduated and stopped rowing. So it really was a journey for me. So I'm so excited that I'm able to reconnect with that part of myself again. You have to find what works for you. Come back to the feeling. Does it bring me joy? Does it make me feel good? And, see what works for you, and then try to just apply that, and try to go back to doing the little day decisions of, am I gonna stay in bed and watch TV, or am I gonna get up and go to yoga, and then see step by step. Wow.
Beautiful.
So little decisions instead of big decisions.
That's actually a really good tip. And it's interesting because it sounds like it worked well for you both in navigating this. I mean, they are both unknowns, but when you said you're changing your life to something totally different, right? You're moving to US and everything is fresh, like one flight at a time, right? It's not like thinking about everything that's going to come. And same in the, let's say, also challenging transition that might feel more difficult to navigate when you're here back after all your journeys. And wow, so that lasted for 2 years, you said? This in between period?
In between around 2 years, because so that's how I split it. That it was from when I graduated to when I decided to take the next step and to make the decision to actually follow my heart and my intuition, allow myself to explore something new. So basically what it was, it's that I decided to apply and study glassmaking. And that's something that I already like felt it was the right next step to do right away from when I came back to home.
Wow.
Like literally, like that's when for the first time I like went to an exhibition. I saw a glass sculpture, and in my heart, in my body, I literally like felt so much, so much. And I cried. Like I never cried like watching art, but it was just like so overwhelming and like such a strong feeling of wow, I really want to do that in my life. I want to learn how to make glass. I want to express myself through that material, and it feels so right and exciting, but so scary. So in that moment, whoa, okay, how to even do that? Like, because in Krakow there's no like really way to learn how to do glass. And I really didn't want to move anywhere. I felt like I needed to be home, give myself time to like recover, regather, like discover myself again. So it just like felt so scary to try and like even like go into the art field, try to express myself, like and kind of like make it more serious. It felt very like just so different from what I was doing before and like what the identity I've built for myself. So like the seed was planted, but I didn't follow that. And like again, that seed was growing, and that's the thought that was bugging me in the back of my head when I was like trying to figure out what I want to do in life and everything. I was coming back to this feeling of it would be so fucking cool to learn how to make glass. It's just like so random as well.
It is.
And the rational brain was like, you're supposed to, like, what? It's just such a stupid decision, irrational, and like, it's not gonna make you any money. It's going back to school again. It's just that you wasting your life. But then after the 2 years of exploring, I was just so fed up with myself. This is pointless. What you're doing with your life, just make a decision. So I decided to follow that and try to apply for a glassmaking program in another city in Poland, which is Wrocław. And they have this beautiful department, the biggest in Poland, the only one in Poland, where you can learn how to make glass. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to move to Wrocław, even though I don't want to move. I just went to like the open studio day, and I was so excited, but so scared and so disappointed in the moment. The whole day during the open studio days, I just like had this internal feeling, this is not right. I don't feel good in here. I really want to learn how to make glass, but it just doesn't feel right. And I was just like so sad and disappointed.
Wow, that must have been like soul-crushing moment, right? If you had this seed for such a long time, you finally think it is happening and you're there and it
just
doesn't click.
Right.
Wow.
But then like the end of the day approached, and I was just like sitting on a bench with my sisters because they came with me and to the open studio days, feeling like, okay, what I'm supposed to do next? Like I felt that's the next step, but it's not. I feel like it's not meant. I'm not meant to be here. But then there came this girl from nowhere, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to see the old building of school? There's some glass workshops there." And it really felt like sign from heavens. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Let's do it. Yeah, let's see. Maybe there is gonna be something there. And there was. I came into one of the workshops that now is my workshop. And I like just like felt like coming home. It was like this artistic mess. It was like very colorful, beautiful glass sculptures. And then in the other room, there was sitting my professor, that is my mentor now. Short hair, colorful dress, red couch, a teddy bear of a tiger on the couch. Just like so random, so creative, so like free and expressing herself. And I was like, whoa, okay, she's gonna be my professor. And like going into that open days, I thought the next step is to, I don't know, apply for a master's degree or a PhD. But the thoughts I had around that was really don't really want to move to Wrocław. And I kind of like, if I'm here, then I have to have a job, right? I asked the professor if it's possible to connect and combine working with studying and how is it like, hour-wise, is it possible? And she told me about this postgraduate program. That is the program I'm doing now that I didn't know if it was possible. It's a weekend program that allows me to live in Krakow and just travel on the weekends to Wrocław and still, learn how to make glass. So it just felt like, whoa, everything aligned. And I was like so happy and grateful. I'm like, I still looking back, I think it's such a beautiful moment in my life and such a turning point. So then, like months later, because it was in March, and then in July, I decided to apply for this program, even though I was like, still had fears around it because it's a paid. But then I was like, okay, coming back to the basics. I'm gonna try, see if I like it. If not, I will just drop it. There is this disclaimer in the agreement I was signing that you can like just let them know from month to month that you're not gonna continue studying, and then you just stop paying and stop styling, and it's all good. There is the escape like gate. So I applied, and I like feel like my life changed since then because. And the next year of studying, the first year, because it's a 3-year program, so I'm approaching the end of the program now. But the first year, it like literally like it was like 4 years in 1 year. Just so much happened. I feel like I've learned in this 1 year so much, the most I've learned ever in my life. And it was everything felt so exciting and so magical. And I was like, literally, glass also as material, it's like, it feels very magical because like looking at it before, I was like, I have no idea how it's made. Like, it just feels like insane to be able to make it, like impossible. So being able to actually like go from just having a vision of, I want to try to combine my photography with glass and see, because they have so much, like there's so much similarity between water and glass because of the light reflecting on it, reflections, it's changing. It's also like, it's solid, but it's fluid. It's like there's so much like similarities between water and glass. So it really felt like the most magical year, and was able like in this first year like do so many sculptures as well. It really felt like everything was just like flowing out of me, all the ideas, and it just like felt I was making also like the small decisions of just trusting like the process and being, I don't know where it's leading me. I have no idea what I'm doing it for, right? Because I'm just doing it for myself because it makes me happy. It feels right. And it's so exciting, and it like gives me so much joy.
Oh, wow.
So, not putting so much pressure into, am I gonna be able to, I don't know, sell my work or make it a career or anything. It's just about doing that. And there's so many different ways I can, do it, but it all comes down to, I want to do that, and I will find a way to make it happen. So now I'm in my life, I'm approaching the end of the studies, and I'm like feeling a bit worried, like, because it feels like the end of some kind of chapter. And again, it feels very nice to have the structure of the course and the community of people who love doing what I'm doing, and like have my professor, which I literally love this woman. She's amazing. She just like shows me so much, and just looking at how she approaches life, it's very inspiring, and I'm so grateful for the relationship we have. Like, she's such a mentor to me. So I'm just like kind of like not very, okay, let's not exaggerate, but like I'm feeling like a lot of like anxiety and worry around like what's next to come, and like how is it gonna be without having this structure. And like I kind of like I'm trying to take steps that are gonna allow me to continue, but I have this like, what is different with the past experiences? I just like really think I found something that is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I know that I will be doing it. So I feel like the anxiety comes and goes. It's like the fear, right? But I'm still like coming back to the feeling like, whoa, it's so cool, I'm doing it, I want to do it, and I will find a way to do it.
This is so
And
beautiful.
So, so I'm excited for this next again chapter, I guess. A bit scared, and I feel like it's I'm trying to come back to the present and just like take it step by step.
I'm curious, kind of tracking it back, because it feels like the glass making, as you said, it's so random when you think about this, like also so unique. Probably not many people in the world know how to do it. But I'm curious, because you mentioned that the seed was planted a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like a long time before you actually started considering going for it. And I'm curious, again, in this liminal space of transition, what led you to know that this is the time to act upon it? That it wasn't a year before, it wasn't a year after, that you felt in your body, oh my God, I'm going for it. I'm ready.
I think over those in between 2 years, I had so much change into like my mindset and perspective that if I started earlier and decided to go for it right away, I feel like I just wasn't ready. It was something that the seed was planted, right? But where I was in my life and where I was in my mindset and my inner work, it just like didn't match at all like the decision I had to take. So I feel like over those last those in between years, like it felt like nothing was really happening or nothing was changing, and I was like just like felt like, oh, it's taking forever and I really don't know where I'm going, or like it just like felt very like I felt blind. But a lot changed. I didn't see it like from every day, but like looking back, I feel like so much changed in my perspective and like the way I approach life. I was ready to take the next step. It felt like I cannot continue going through the same motions because I'm not in this like in this space anymore, that I'm ready for the next thing.
I mean, I'm absolutely a fan of this process of the invisible work. That's what the whole Pakpoi is about, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's literally the force that takes the mushroom above the ground overnight, but it takes so much time before, when the mushroom is already growing and growing underneath. You just cannot see it. So it really sounds like your Pakpoi moment was like you needed those 2 years and suddenly it was there. Suddenly, of course, right? It's all a process. So that's so beautiful. And also I'm curious because what you said about going for the open days, in Wrocław to see the university and everything. It was a very extreme journey in terms of like having high hopes, then going very low to like, I'm not feeling it. Within 1 day to being like, oh my God, this is it, right? And I'm curious, how do you think those previous 2 years and your whole like self-development, inner growth journey actually allowed you to go through that day? Because it might sound easy or that it's not important, but I can only imagine the emotions you were feeling when all the expectations are crushed. You're still open when someone comes and be like, do you want to see another building? And I feel like, wow, this is such an art of alchemizing. How did you manage in that moment stay present and be like, yes, I'm going to see, instead of, just tunnel vision and spiral downwards into this very negative place? How did you do it, Kasia?
I feel like I wasn't really conscious about it just happened, right? But looking back, I feel like it has a lot to do with, trying to approach things from different perspective. And if you have this like end vision, it's easier to navigate that, right? And see, okay, if you try to do this like spiral and try to approach it from this same perspective that is not working, you're not gonna get there, right? Because it's clearly not working, right? So you have to like be open to try different ways of approaching that. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, your ability to stay open and to shift is really incredible.
Thank you.
Like really, considering that it all started way before when you wanted to apply to Cambridge, right? It was the same kind of story, and it's really mind-blowing. I know that you tell this story as it's so natural to you, like yeah, it just happens. But I feel like for many of people, me included, sometimes it's not so easy. So
Because it's
like,
not easy. It's like, but
wow.
I feel like at the end of the day, like just like come back to what your inner voice is saying, like, Uh,
It's absolutely inspiring. Wow.
Yeah. And I have a recommendation for
Yes.
people listening. I think it's very common recommendation and very basic, but it's something I didn't know about a year ago.
Yes,
So
please
I'm
share.
gonna share
Yes.
a book that is one of the most important books I read in my life is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's literally all about what we're talking about. So about listening to your heart and just going and following that and about the journey. And it's put into a very simple and very like a metaphor of a story about this shepherd who's trying to find the treasure. So if you haven't read it and it feels like it's resonating with you, I really recommend reading that because it's a beautiful book and it has a lot of wisdom within that. And I had so many aha moments with just reading that. And I was just like there with my marker and highlighting sentences and yeah,
Oh, that's beautiful.
kind of
Thank
like
you.
reassuring me in this like feeling of I want to listen to my heart.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much for bringing that up. And this is an excellent recommendation. +1 for sure. Definitely a beautiful story. You kind of make me want to go back to it again. Oh, you want to share anything like how you're feeling right now with your artist journey and with glass and water? Because we touched a little bit upon it, but I don't know if you want to share your plans.
Yes, let's do that. Why not? I'm trying to be more open and share my art with the world, which feels sometimes very overwhelming because it is very close to my heart, right? It feels like I'm exposing myself and my way of thinking. But within the last 2 years of allowing myself to take up this new journey of learning, and just like I feel like so much again is changing within my mindset. So I feel ready to share my art with the world and it feels right. So yes, why not? Okay, so I'm working now on an exhibition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of trying to put all of my work I did the last 2 years into one room or 4 rooms actually.
Oh, wow.
But and share it with the world. I feel like I'm trying to navigate, like trying to approach it in a perfectionist way and everything, and taking the action and not being scared to share and everything. So it's still a journey. I don't know when it's gonna happen, where it's gonna happen in Krakow, but I just know it's gonna happen, and I'm gonna make it happen.
It is happening.
It is happening.
It is happening.
Yes, I feel it's been a beautiful journey as well, just trying to put this creative vision and on paper. And I just have such a strong visualization of what this exhibition is gonna be like. I see all of the spaces. I see how the sculptures are within the rooms. I know what I want to say. I know what I want to, express.
Wow.
So now it's just about again materializing this vision. So stay tuned.
So what would be like a one sentence or however many sentences, but like sneak peek of what this exhibition means for you, or what do you want to share with the world?
Yes.
We don't need to go into the details, but just something that really, the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about it.
What I want to say for this exhibition is basically that everyone has an inner voice and it's important to listen to it. That listening to my inner voice allowed me to be now in this space and be able to present this work. That's the main message I want to send out to the world, that try to stop and just listen to this silent little voice and see where it leads you, because it's worth it. It's worth it. I use pictures of the water to capture the same feeling, the same reflections, abstractions. So with my glass sculptures, I created sculptures that combine photography with glass. literally like pictures of my of my water cut into pieces and put onto the window glass sheet,
which is
and
freaking
then like
incredible.
just
I
thank
see
you.
so pictures and it looks fucking insane what Kasia is doing. So just to let you know, like this is literally next level of creation and connecting the dots. I mean, come on. It's incredible. Incredible.
Thank you. It means a lot. I'm very excited for it. So there is going to be like over 20 glass sculptures. Some of them are going to be like the ones with pictures. There is also going to be some that are just colorful bricks of glass that reflect light in the same way, but you kind of have to put more effort into trying to see and notice the reflections. You feel like you're hunting for the light, for reflections and for abstraction in the world.
That sounds like such a multi-sensory experience. So people, you really need to come. I mean,
yeah, so I'm making it happen. It's gonna happen. We'll see
amazing.
when and everything, but it's a good preview for you guys. So.
Amazing. And that being said, also, where if anyone listening to this podcast wants to follow your work, your journey, what's happening, where they can find you?
That's something I'm also ready to share, because I had this previous attempt of starting to share my art, but then that failed very quickly because I wasn't ready yet. So I have an Instagram account that is my personal Instagram account that you can follow. It's called Kahahaha. Let's try to spell it KACHIHAHIH.
Oh my God. Okay, we'll put a link into the description. But also very impressive
spelling in English is fucking difficult.
It is so good. Wow.
And I have another Instagram account I'm trying to reactivate, but I haven't yet. So we can also put it in there. It's my art account. And there is some pictures of my water in there, but there, like, I haven't been posting like the last 2 years at all, so it's dead. But I'm gonna be reactivating it, and I feel like that's two good start points. And also, like, if you want to like connect with me or talk, just like reach out. I'm so happy to to connect with people and try to make friends as well. So reach out to me like through whatever.
Oh, thank you so much, Kasia. It's been really a pleasure being able to speak to you. And I have a last closing question, I promise.
Of course.
Many different questions to you, but let's keep it to this last one. Sounds like the journey you went through, you're going through, is really a parable that a lot of people can relate to. And I feel like it speaks into even the bigger picture of our society, how we work as a society, as whole culture, and how we're moving into back to the roots, right? To how we used to be as kids. And maybe this is like super cliche question to ask, but I'm curious. If you were to meet your, I don't know, 15-year-old version of yourself, what is one thing you would like to share with them to really contemplate?
Yeah, it's definitely not a cliche. I think that's very beautiful. Going through life, I feel everything, again, cliche, happens for a reason, and it's what's meant. It's just everything is there for something. So you're doing great, sweetie. I would hug myself and just like tell her that you're great, and go through life and focus on the little moments and build the self-confidence and enjoy the process and, listen to your heart. And I actually made a video as well for myself. I recorded this video for myself in January, and that I will listen towards the end of the year. And I'm curious to see and meet that past version that is still me now, or maybe not anymore. I feel like the change is so hard to pinpoint because, the continuity of it, it's still you, but it's like the past you, but like how many different yous there is, it's a lot philosophical.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's amazing. That's such a great idea. It sounds like it's all about actually appreciating where you are in the journey and not like rushing through it, right? Just staying where you are. That's such a beautiful message. I'm so looking forward to anything you're going to create because I know it's going to be incredible. And again, oh my God, that's it. We did it. Thank you so much, Kasia, for coming to be the first official guest of Poet Talks.
I'm so honored.
Thank you so much. And that being said, I will see you in the next one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening to this long podcast. As you listen to it.
Oh.